Hello there. A while back I made this video where I showed a technique for tracking the ticket number when you partially close a trade. So if you don't already know, when you close a trade, the original trade is closed completely and a new trade is opened to replace that with the remainder of the volume. But there's nothing inherent in MetaTrader 4 or MetaTrader 5 to tell you the ticket number of that new trade. You might be able to use the comment that some brokers add, but this is not consistently applied, so I don't like to use that. The technique I showed before relied on taking a snapshot of all of the order numbers that you have, or all of the position numbers that you have, partially closing the trade, and then looking at all of the new numbers to see what has changed. And that works in a lot of cases, but if you've got multiple experts running at one time, you might find that you're opening other trades at the same time that you're doing this partial close. Today I have a different technique that's not just applicable in that situation, but in any case where you might want to group a number of trades together and have a unique ticket number for them, or where you perhaps want to create an order for MetaTrader 5 and be able to track that number through to the ultimate position. And it's a very simple technique. All I'm doing is using the magic number, and I'm embedding partial magic number and partially a trade number that cycles through over, in my example, 1,000 digits. So you get 1,000 trades and then it cycles back to zero and repeats again. Very simple technique of concatenating the two, but there are a few things that you'll need to do if you're going to use this technique, because you still want to be able to identify trades, create unique numbers, apply them to new trades, and so on. So what I really have for you today is a series of functions that will make that easier for you. So let's jump to the code. I'm doing this for both MetaTrader 4 and 5, and I'll be switching between the two as I go. And there are some differences between them because of the way MetaTrader 4 and 5 stores orders and or positions. So let's have a look at the code and see the functions that I'm going to create. So I've opened the MQL4 editor here, and I've got both the MQ4 file and the MQ5 file open for a particular custom ticket expert advisor that I've written. And the expert advisor, don't worry about the logic in here at all. It's just to demonstrate these functions. In fact, this one does nothing more than randomly open up to 5 trades and then simply waits for them to close, and as each one closes then it will open another one, so there are always 5 trades. It's just here to demonstrate opening a trade and then performing a partial close on that trade and then updating the stop loss on the remaining trade. So you can forget about all the logic inside the expert advisor except the ability to do those partial closes and open another trade. And I'm just using that to show these functions from the custom ticket. So you can see here I've got an include statement for Orchard custom ticket, custom-ticket.mqh. I just open up the include Orchard custom ticket, and I've already written this. So here is custom-ticket.mqh. Let me expand that a little. And if I go into that, and I'll just scroll to the bottom quickly, I have this if-def MQL4, then I include custom ticket MQL4, and custom-ticket.mql5 if-def MQL5. That's because there are some functions that are just too difficult to make common between MQL4 and MQL5, so I've separated those out into these 2 additional files. So let's just wind all of this back, because as I looked at this, no matter how many times I added comments, this all just became confusing to treat in a single block. So what I'm going to do instead is remove all of this and then paste pieces back into this file one at a time and explain what they're for. Because realistically, most of these functions just exist for their own purpose. They're not really part of an ongoing structure in any way. Now the first thing I've added back in here are some variables. These are global scope variables, and as I've said here, yes, this would be better in a class, but I didn't want to confuse this discussion by adding in the class structure around it. So these are just going to be functions, but these functions want to share information. And so I've set up my own variable names here. You'll just have to make sure that these don't conflict with any other variables you might be using. So these are effectively just to pass information between the various functions that I'm going to create here. But to go through them, magic number limit, that is the largest magic number that I'm going to allow you to specify for your expert. Because remember that the idea here is to concatenate a magic number and a trade number to come up with some unique number, and you don't want to exceed the maximum size of a number. Now In MetaTrader 5, the maximum size of an actual magic number is a U-long, which is a 19-digit number. So the chance of you exceeding that are almost zero. In MetaTrader 4, the magic number is an int, so it's a much smaller number and you only have 9 digits to use. But realistically, I can't imagine why you would want a magic number of more than 6 digits. So I've set the magic number limit at 1 million here, which is 6 zeros and a 1. And this number is actually one more than the largest maximum. Sorry, this number is actually one more than the largest magic number that I'm going to allow you to enter. And then the trade number limit is one more than the maximum trade number. So trade numbers are going to be automatically incremented inside the functions here. And when they reach 1000, they'll wrap around to 0. So there is a wraparound, and there is a very small chance that you will have the same number twice. But I'd be surprised if anyone has 1000 trades open at one time. So I've got these two variables, and the magic number limit will be used to test the magic number that you enter in the inputs, or that you maybe have coded into your expert, to make sure that it doesn't exceed this maximum. And then this trade number limit is used in the calculations further on to do the wraparound and also to split up the magic number that we get back from the orders or positions. Now I have base number here. When you do set up your magic number, so my default is 222222, it will be stored in here. The reason I'm storing it in this variable, even though you may have it in another variable somewhere else, is that I want these functions to know which variable name they can use. As I say here, be better as a class, but because I'm not writing this as a class, I'm just going to make sure that the magic number that you're using is stored in here, and then it will be multiplied by 1000 in this case to come up with real numbers that are attached to the orders and trades. And then current trade number, that's the number beginning at 0, and it's going to wrap around at 1000. Now the first function I'm going to have is a verification function that you can call at the start of your expert. So if you're like me, and let me just flip back to custom ticket, I allow the user to enter the magic number because I want that to be there in case they might be running another expert that has a conflicting magic number. It's nice to give the end user the option to change that number. But it does mean I need to test that number, and as you can see here in the on init, if not IsMagicValid, and I pass in the input magic number, then I simply return init failed. So this IsMagicValid function is going to test that input magic number and make sure that it does not exceed, let me go back, exceed this number, or doesn't equal or exceed that. So here is my IsMagicValid function, passing in the magic number as an integer. Now I know that in MetaTrader 5 you could have a much larger number, but like I said, I cannot imagine why you would need more than a 6-digit number here, so I'm just making that an integer. And the test here, if the magic number is less than or equal to 0, you can have a magic number of 0, but that's also the number used by any manually entered trade, so I don't want you to use that. So if it's less than or equal to 0, or the magic is greater than or equal to the magic number limit, then it's a bad number. I just print a message, invalid magic must be from 1 to magic number limit minus 1. So in this case it will be from 1 to 999999. And then I return false. And if we get to this point, then I simply save that magic number in the base number, like I said, this base number here, and return true. The next function I have, and these are not necessarily in any order, these are functions that you will use at various times from your expert, but they should make sense altogether. Let me just add some space here so that it separates from that. GetNextTradeNumber. This is the function that you call to get another number. It will increment the current trade number and wrap around at the limit. But I also want to make sure, because we do have that wraparound, even though you're unlikely to have 1000 trades open at one time, you may have a trade that's been open for a long time, and you may have opened 999 other trades, and then you wrap around. So I want to make sure that we don't hit up against any existing trade number. So I'm declaring this trade number list array, and you can ignore this piece if you are confident that you will never have a wraparound problem. But I've got an array trade number list, int count equals LoadTradeNumberList. We'll get to that function later because that's actually different between MetaTrader 4 and 5. But LoadTradeNumberList will find all of the trade numbers that I currently have open, and return them in this array. So that's passed in by reference. And then I can simply check that to see if the number that I'm trying to use is already used. Once I have that list, then I want to increment the current trade number, and that's as simple as saying plus plus current trade number % trade number limit. This is important. Plus plus current trade number is different to current trade number plus plus. Putting the plus plus ahead of the variable will increment it before it is used. If you put the plus plus after the variable, then it increments the variable after it is used. I want to increment it by 1 first, and then perform this %, which is the modulus of trade number limit. So that will give me the next trade number wrapping around to 0 if I hit that 1000 limit. But then I want to make sure that that number is not in this trade number list. So while count is greater than 0, because count tells me how many items have been returned in here, and if count is 0, then I've got no chance of hitting up against an existing number. So while count is greater than 0 and trade number list array B search trade number list current trade number, let me just wrap this around so it's a little bit easier to see. Still getting a bit long, but trade number list array B search, in fact let's just take that piece on its own. Okay, array B search will perform a search on an ordered array, in this case trade numbers list, looking for this value, the current trade number that I want to use. It returns the position that it finds in this array, but it doesn't necessarily find the actual value passed in. It will return the position of the number closest to this. So this will effectively give me an index number of a location inside this array that is as close as can be found, or number in this array that is as close as can be found to this number. What I need to do then is check to see if it is actually the same number that I've searched for. So that's where I say trade number list bracket element number found by the search, and if that is equal to the current trade number, then the search actually found the number I'm looking for, and that means it's an invalid number. And then I simply do that increment again, current trade number equals plus plus current trade number, so on. And that will come back, and count will still be whatever it was here. That doesn't change, but then I'll do this same search again. So that will give me the next number in the list that is not already used. And then from this function, all I do is return current trade number. And now a function that goes with this is GetNextMagicNumber. So if you're about to open a new trade, you want a full magic number that you're going to use with that new trade, not just this GetNextTradeNumber. You actually need the whole magic number. If I go to my MQ4, we'll see that I have here int magic equals GetNextMagicNumber, and then when I perform the order send, I'm passing in, let me scroll across here, I'm passing in that magic. If I go to the same place in the MQ5 version, I'm using the trade object in MQ5, and I'm calling setExpertMagicNumber with that magic after calling this GetNextMagicNumber. And then I'm simply using trade.positionOpen. Now I didn't mention at the beginning, you should be used to this by now, but that trade, in the MQ5 version I have this hash include trade/trade.mqh. That gives me access to a class called ctrade that is provided by MetaTrader. And so simply declaring ctrade trade gives me an object of type ctrade, and that object makes the trading operations much easier. So, long-winded explanation, but we're down to GetNextMagicNumber. Paste it in here. GetNextMagicNumber returns a full magic number, including the base number and the incremented trade number. And that's as simple as saying I'm going to return the base number, which is the original input magic number, multiplied by the trade number limit, 1000 by default here, plus GetNextTradeNumber function. And so that simply gives me my, say, 9-digit number that includes the trade number and the base number concatenated. So next, along with those, and I'll put some more space in here so I don't confuse things, I want functions now that will give me, for a magic number from a position or order, I want functions now that will give me back the base number or the trade number, because I want to be able to use those if I'm searching through my list of positions and orders. I want to be able to use those to identify which belong to my expert. So I've pasted both of them in here together, GetBaseNumber and GetTradeNumber. So GetBaseNumber will simply return that first 6 digits, or the original magic number that you supplied, from a magic number of an order or position. And GetTradeNumber will return, in this case, the last 3, that number up to 1,000, from the same magic number. So you pass in the magic number from your order or position. And for GetBaseNumber, it's as simple as integer magic divided by trade number limit. So that will simply strip off that last 3 digits. And to get the trade number, it is also an integer magic percent, or the modulo trade number limit, which will strip off the leading digits and only leave the last 3, or the value that's in the last 3. And just to show you where that might be used, I've gone to the MetaTrader 4 here. Update break even. So I said that this particular example will look for trades that have reached half the distance to the take profit, and then it will close half of the trade and then move the rest to break even. And to do that, I've got a fairly simple loop, standard thing you've seen before, I equals orders total minus 1, and a similar thing in MetaTrader 5, but there I'm using positions. I do the order select. If the order symbol is matching and get base number of the order magic number is not equal to input magic, then continue. So where I would normally simply say if order magic number is not equal to input magic, now I'm using get base number of that magic number. And just to show you in MetaTrader 5, in the same place, but here I'm using position get string symbol is not equal to symbol, or get base number, again it's very long, of position get integer position magic. So I'm checking the magic number from the position. If the base number does not equal the input magic, then I'll continue. Now those are all of the functions that are completely common between MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. I could have simply put the rest of the functions in here directly in the if-def MQL4 or MQL5, but I just find that becomes confusing, and it's too easy when you might be editing this later to accidentally go to the wrong function or the function for the wrong version and start editing. So I prefer to separate them out, particularly since there are a number of these. So I've got a separate file called custom ticket underscore MQL4 and one for custom ticket underscore MQL5. So I'll open both of these and I'll do the same thing I've done here. I'll paste in one function at a time and I'll talk about the MQL4 function, then I'll move to the MQL5. Now the first specific function is FindTicketFromMagic. And I've got 2 variants of this, but this is where you have a magic number and you actually want to find the trade and get the ticket number back for the trade that has that magic number. And where you might use this, let me go back to this custom ticket example. In this split and break even function that I have, so once I've detected that a trade has reached the point where the price has moved halfway to the take profit, I want to call this split and break even, which will close half and then move the stop loss to break even. Once I've performed that close, if order close, order ticket, and there's a similar statement in MetaTrader 5, then I need to get the ticket number of that remaining portion. Now, if you don't know about this, when you partially close a trade, what actually happens is that the original ticket gets closed out completely and a new ticket is opened for the remainder of the trade. It's opened with the same opening price as the original ticket, but it has a new ticket number. It can be very difficult to link these two together. Some brokers will actually insert a comment on the new trade that shows that this has come from an earlier ticket number, but that's not a guaranteed event. So I don't like to rely on that. I like to rely on things that I know I can control. So after you perform this partial close, the original ticket, whatever that was, is gone. So this order ticket is no longer valid. And now I have to find the ticket that contains the remainder. And that's where I use this find ticket from magic, because I've stored the magic number, got from the original order magic number. And because I know these are unique, where the first part contains my actual entered system magic number, 22, 22, 22, and the last part contains a trade number, I know that complete order magic number is completely unique. And then I call this find ticket from magic, passing in that magic, and that will return the ticket number if it can be found. So if for some reason no new ticket was created, then I'll get a 0 back in here, and we'll see that in the function. So that's how I'm able to identify the remaining part. I'll just show you in MetaTrader 5. I have something similar. Trade.position close partial, ticket lots. I've already captured the magic number from the original position that I had, and then I simply say ticket equals find position ticket from magic, passing in the magic number, and then I can modify that found ticket for the new stop loss and take profit. I should have inserted a line here to test if the ticket is 0, so it's perhaps not good practice. I probably should have here. There, that would be a little better. But now to get to the MQL4 version of this, as I said, there are two variations. The first one here just finds a ticket. This is where you're confident that there is only one ticket remaining with that magic number. So if you've split the trade, there should only be one ticket. And it's a simple loop through all of the orders for I equals orders total minus 1. Order select. If that fails, then continue. If the order symbol equals the symbol and the order magic number equals the magic. There's nothing special here about the concatenation of magic number and ticket. I'm just looking for a given magic number. And if I find that, then as soon as I find it, I simply return the order ticket. And if I get through to this point, I return 0. Just before we go on to the MQL5 version, I'll look at the second variant of this function, and that's where there might be more than one ticket. And in that case, I'm going to return an array. So this argument here, it's a long array of tickets passed by reference. And I'm going to populate that with all the tickets that are found. So I won't be exiting as soon as a trade's found, like I do here. I'll go all the way through to the end. And the long result that comes back is the count of tickets that are found. So I initialize count to 0. And then the same loop, I equals orders total. Same tests, magic number equals. But if I find a matching trade or a matching order, I do an array resize, tickets to size count plus 1. And this 10 reserves extra space so that I don't keep growing the array by 1 each time, because that's an expensive exercise. And once I've done that, then tickets count plus plus. Remember, plus plus increments count after I've used it. So this will use the original value of count, then increment the value of count. And I simply assign the order ticket into that position in the array. And at the end, I just return count. And now I'm going to go to the MQL5 version, the custom ticket MQL5, so that we get the correct syntax coloring and highlighting. So now, custom ticket underscore MQL5, here are the same functions, but in MQL5 it's a little more complicated. Because MQL5 stores positions separately to orders, in MT4 an order is a limit or stop order or a market trade. In MetaTrader 5, positions are the open trades and orders are the pending, the stop and limit orders. But they have separate functions to access them. It's not simply an argument that I can pass to a single function. So I actually have to have separate loops here. And so I've created separate functions. I've one here that's called find position ticket from magic, and that's where you want to look for a ticket that is already open. And then I have a second function, find order ticket from magic, and that's where I want to look in the pending orders. And if you aren't sure if your order is current or pending, then you simply have to call both of these. But the logic in them is the same. I declare a ticket number for int I equals positions total or orders total minus 1, while I is greater than or equal to 0, so on. For MetaTrader 5, ticket equals position get ticket, position I, or equals order get ticket for position I. And if ticket is equal to 0, then continue. And then I do the same tests, position get string symbol equals symbol, and position get integer, position magic equals magic. If that's true, then I've found a position that has this magic number, and I simply return the ticket. Order is the same, but here I'm just using order get string and order get integer, but I still just return the ticket. Same changes go for the array versions of these. I'm still returning a long for find position ticket and a long for find order ticket, which is the count that I've found. I'm still passing in tickets and the magic number. I'm performing the same loops as above, and just as before, I'm performing the array resize on tickets, count plus 1 for 10, and then assigning that ticket number into the tickets array. And the same thing for the orders, but again, testing order get string and order get integer. So a little bit more complication just because of the two different groups, the positions and the orders. Now I've gone back to the MetaTrader 4 custom ticket MQL4, and the function I'm going to add now, let me just go back to the original custom ticket. Remember when I was performing GetNextTradeNumber, I have this LoadTradeNumberList. I don't know if that's of any use to you anywhere else, but I at least need the function for here, and that's the function I'm going to create now. Insert a few blank lines to make it easier to see. So LoadTradeNumberList, and I'm passing in a list by reference, ampersand, and it's going to return as an integer the number of trade numbers that have been found. Initialize count to 0, and then it's a simple loop through all of the orders. If not order select, then continue. If the order symbol matches the chart symbol in this case, now maybe for your purposes you want to pass a symbol name in, but I'm just using the chart symbol, and GetBaseNumber. So we've already seen that function. GetBaseNumber will return that leading 6 characters or 6 digits from the magic number. So GetBaseNumber of the order magic number is equal to the stored base number. Then, just as before, array resize and assign GetTradeNumber now. And again, a function that we've seen. GetTradeNumber for the order magic number goes into the list. At the end of this, I sort the list. Now remember, I'm using the array B search on this list, so the list needs to be in order. So I'm sorting it there after I've filled the list. And then I simply return count. Back to MetaTrader 5. Sorry for jumping around like this, but I'll just insert a few blank lines there. So the load trade number from list function in MetaTrader 5, a little bit more complex again. I'm still passing an array, which is the list of trade numbers that are going to be found, and it's still going to return the count of trade numbers that are found. But again, because positions and orders are held separately in MetaTrader 5, I have 2 loops. One loop goes through the positions from position total -1 while I is greater than or equal to 0. Ticket equals get position ticket. If ticket is 0, continue. If the symbol matches the chart symbol, and get base number, our earlier function, but this time passing position get integer position magic. If that's a matching base number, then it is one of our trades, and I simply perform the array resize of list to count plus 1 with 10 spaces spare, and assign get trade number of position get integer position magic into the list. And then I repeat that for orders total, order get ticket, order get string, and order get integer. The same thing for orders. I'm performing this on both because even a pending order may have a trade number I don't want to use, and knowing that I'm using this load trade number list to prevent me using duplicate numbers, I actually want to load the numbers from both the current trades and any pending orders. Now back in MetaTrader 4 for the next function, and this is used, let me go to the original expert here, because I may be starting this expert while I already have trades open. I have a call to FindCurrentTradeNumber. This is going to scan all of the trades in the system and return the highest trade number used, or the most recent trade number used on all of those existing trades. So I've got a starting point for a trade number. So here is FindCurrentTradeNumber. I have a boolean here for include history, and I'm defaulting that to false. So to find the current trade number, I first initialize it to 0, and then I'm calling this other function FindCurrentTradeNumber from, and passing in mode trades, which is the current live trades and or orders for MetaTrader 4. And then if the include history has been passed in, I'm calling the same function again, but this time with mode history, and also passing in this latest date. So you'll note here, date time, latest date. This function returns the most recent date time of any order or trade found when it's performing this search. And so when I call this mode history, I'm passing that latest date in so I can effectively continue the search on the history. Let me paste the FindCurrentTradeNumber function in. Okay, so find current trade number from the pool and the start date, which defaults to 0 if not supplied. I need to know how many elements I'm going to look through. So if the pool is mode trades, then that's orders total. And if it's not mode trades, then it must be the orders history total. That simply gives me a counter for the loop. For integer I equals count minus 1, so on, counting down. If not order select, select by position from the pool, then continue. If the select is successful, then if the order symbol is equal to symbol and get base number again of the order magic number is equal to the base number, then this is one of my trades. And then I compare the order open time to the latest date, which began as 0 here. So I'm looking for the most recently used trade number, not the highest trade number, because if you're wrapped around, your most recent number could be 5, but you've already reached 999 that might still be open. So I don't want to simply return 999, I want to return 5. So I'm testing these by date, and that's from the open time of the order. If I found an order with an open time that's greater than latest date, then I update latest date with the order open time, and I set the current trade number to GetTradeNumber function from that order magic number. It is possible that I have two trades that were opened at the same time, and if they happen to be the most recent, then I might not find the absolute latest current trade number. But remember that in the new trade number function, I always test to see if the number already exists. So it's not a disaster if I do return a number that already exists. This just helps me to find where I basically am in the number sequence. And at the end of this, like I said, returns latest date, so that when I call this again for the history, it will look at history where trades are opened after whatever was the latest date found from the original trades. So now I'm back to MQL5. Let me get rid of some of these excess lines. And just to mess things up, I'll add a few more down here so that we can see these functions separated. The same thing in MetaTrader 5 then to get the most recently used trade number. I have the FindCurrentTradeNumber function. There is no argument here for searching history, and that's because searching through positions in history in MetaTrader 5 is just too hard. So I didn't bother to do it. Still initializing the current trade number. I still have a date time latest date. I'm calling FindCurrentTradeNumber from positions, so I have to have a separate function here because it's not as simple as passing a flag. And then latest date equals, again, FindTradeNumber from orders, passing in that latest date. So now scroll down here, FindCurrentTradeNumber from positions, date time latest date equals 0, the default value. A common loop is to find a ticket number for I equals positions total, ticket equals position get ticket, testing the symbol with position get string, and get base number. Scroll that across again. I get the base number for the position magic and match that up with the base number that I'm using. If all of that matches up, then just as before, I update latest date, position get integer, position time, which is the open time for the position, and then I update the current trade number with get trade number of the position magic and return latest date. Find current trade number from orders, date time latest date equals 0. Latest date will only be initialized to 0 if you don't pass that in, and if we scroll back up, I am passing latest date on this call to the find current trade number from orders. And then this loop is the same, but here I'm looking at orders total, order get ticket, order get string, order magic. Just remember though, order get integer, it's not order underscore time, it's order underscore time underscore setup. And then I reassign current trade number and return latest date. And that is the end of all the functions for both MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. Just to show you how they're used, I'm going to go back. We've seen these expert advisors several times, but I'll just step through them quickly. Not going to cover everything they do. I have a take profit points, a stop loss points, Standard order size, which I'm setting at 0.02 because I do want to be able to close half, and I just want to make sure that it's an even number. That magic number that I talked about, and a trade comment, I'm just calling that testing. I set a stop loss and take profit value by multiplying the points by the point value. FindCurrentTradeNumber gives me the most recent trade number, which is going to be stored in that current trade variable. Oh, and I forgot the IsMagicValid. That tests the input magic number and sets up those functions for use. And I simply return init failed if this returns false. In the on tick, I perform the update break even because I want to do that on every tick. If this is not a new bar, then I'm not going to be opening up any new trades, so I just return. And all I'm doing for opening the trades here, if orders total, it should be positions total. If positions total is less than 5, so if I've got less than 5 open, then I've got this next type which flips between buy and sell. I update it to a sell if it's currently a buy, and I update it to a buy if it's currently a sell. And then I simply open a trade, price plus take profit, and price minus stop loss, or price minus take profit, price plus stop loss for the sell. I get the magic number with that GetNextMagicNumber. I set the expert magic number on the trade because it's not part of the call to position open, and then I just open that position. Update break even. This is where I'm really showing how you might use that function. And I'll point out here, I'm demonstrating this for partial close because on a partial close you do get that new trade. But also if you're using MetaTrader 5 and you open an order, you'll get a ticket number back for that order. But when the order converts to a position, you might want to track that same order turning into a position. And the position could have a different ticket number, and probably will have a different ticket number to the order that you placed. So you can use this technique also to link that order and know that the same magic number carries across to the position. But I simply loop through all of the positions, ticket, I match the symbol, match the base number. So if I found the trade that is one of my trades from this expert advisor, I'm gathering some values here. I've left code in here because I originally performed all of these calls inside the condition statements, but it just was too hard to read. So I'm gathering all the values here, the type of the trade, stop loss, take profit, open price, the midpoint, which is just open plus take profit divided by 2, bid and the ask prices. So then if the type is a buy, if the stop loss is still less than the open price and the bid is greater than or equal to mid. So the stop loss less than the open price means I haven't moved this one to break even, and bid greater than or equal to mid means that I have reached the halfway point. So then I call split and break even. The same thing for position type sell, but these signs are reversed. And split and break even, again, gather up some information. I call trade.positionClose partial for the ticket and the lots. And lots here are my current lots, or current position volume divided by 2. So it's important in this particular example that I set that to an even number. Position close partial for the ticket and the lot size. I get my new ticket then by find position ticket from magic because I've captured the magic number already. And if the ticket's greater than 0, then I modify that position for the new stop loss, which is price open. So you can see here I set stop loss to position get double position price open, I'm moving it to break even. I'll just show you the relevant parts of the same MQ4 version. Initialization is the same. The on tick, I'm still doing the update break even here. I'm still opening trades in the same way. Here, magic number is passed in as part of the order send function, so I just get the magic there, pass it in to the order send. The update break even does much the same. I still have a loop through the orders. Still testing the order type for a buy. If the stop loss is less than the open price and the symbol info, same test to see if I have not moved stop loss to the break even point and if the price has passed the midpoint. So let me scroll across so you can see it. Order open price plus take profit divided by 2. Then I call split and break even, and I do the same for the sell, but these signs are reversed again. Split and break even, lots equal to order lots divided by 2. Magic is the order magic number. For MetaTrader 4, you call order close, passing in that lots, which is half of the total lot size, order ticket, order close price, slippage of 0. And then again, I get ticket back from FindTicketFromMagic. And if ticket is greater than 0, then I have a new ticket created, and I simply call order modify open price. So the order modify for MetaTrader 4 takes a new open price because it can be applied to orders. You can't actually change the open price on an open trade, but I'm also passing the order open price into the stop loss variable. And you'll notice here I'm searching for the ticket, and then if ticket is greater than 0, I'm jumping straight in, but I'm not doing anything to select the order. And in MetaTrader 5, I'm not doing anything to select a position that matches that ticket. And that's because I know that the FindTicketFromMagic function will have selected either the order for MetaTrader 4 or the position in MetaTrader 5 that matches this ticket. So if I get a ticket back that is greater than 0, then I know that that order or position is currently selected already. So that's all for these functions. I will actually load up the custom ticket.mqh, the custom ticket MQL4.mqh, and the MQL5.mqh. I'll load those up for you to download these functions. I'll leave that link on our web page. There should be a link in the description on this video to our web page, and then you can follow that and download these functions for yourself. Hope this has been useful. Remember, like and subscribe, and until next time, thank you for watching.